Am I the butthole for blowing up when I found that my husband recorded my therapy session? My 26 female. Mom passed away in December. It was hard for me to process what happened. I have to say, me and Mom had a lot of issues between us. There's so much that I couldn't say to her. And I'm struggling with grief. My dad is deceased. My mom was my remaining parent. And growing up I had many issues with her. I went no contact with her several times. Then I reconnected with her. Then we'd get into an argument again and the same thing happened. I feel bad for not trying enough to fix the situation. I keep getting shamed by family members asking if I'm happy now that my mom is gone, but how can someone be happy when their mother pass away? I'm a mess, plus I'm 5 months pregnant after 2 miscarriages and it's been difficult. I started therapy 2 weeks ago. It's online therapy. I go into the bedroom and I have my session with my therapist. I asked my husband to not come into the room or interrupt after he insisted he wanted to be in the room but wasn't allowed. He then started coming in several times, just barging in, brining me coffee or water, but I know it's a way for him to hear something. I got annoyed. I told him he was causing me so much stress and he stopped coming into the room. 2 days later, my husband stopped asking me questions all of a sudden. Stopped insisting on being in the room, stopped interrupting my sessions. I thought he finally got it. But yesterday, as I was doing some cleaning, I heard my own voice coming from the bedroom. I was puzzled. I walked into the bedroom and found my husband with his phone on his ear listening to my voice. I then realized that he recorded my voice during my therapy session and was playing the recording. I asked him, he said it was nothing, then he admitted it was a recording of my therapy session. I lost it. I blew up and I started yelling at him. He told me to calm down, it was no big deal. And that he was just curious to know and also wanted to figure out what my problem is and maybe help out. I told him it wasn't his place, and just because we're married doesn't mean he can disrespect me and be inconsiderate of my feelings. This is a very important thing to me, and he kept saying I'm sorry, but I just couldn't help it. I was infuriated. There were things between my mom and I that I find hard to talk about, and I found what he did disrespectful. I walked out and he kept saying I overreacted and that he's not a stranger, he's my husband. I went to stay with my sister, who said I was harsh on him and shouldn't have reacted this way. He apologized and said he already deleted it. Even said that I can take a few days to stay with my sister to calm down after he saw how much I was mad. I should mention that he mentioned several times that he was worried about me because I haven't been talking to him much. And I understand he was worried, but that is not an excuse. Information: I'm sorry, I forgot to mention my husband's age. He's 31. NTA- triangular flag on post, red flags here, red flags there, here, there, red flags everywhere, triangular flag on post, edit. Jesus Christ, people, I get that red flags are a stereotype on this sub, but does it really make me such a hive-minded F to point out a clear problem? I am not saying original poster needs to break up with her, so I'm just saying this story indicates problems that need addressing. How generous of him to give her a couple days to calm down after he violated her therapy, rolling eyes face, this is bad up. Yes, and calm down by her going to the inconvenience of moving to her sister's for a few days rather than him giving her space and making his own arrangements. What a generous, thoughtful guy. I noticed that too. He should be the one moving out and only coming back once he realized the magnitude of this violation of OP. Edit. Thank you for the silver kind Reddit, sparkling heart. Only coming back once original poster has decided she's okay with him coming back. Only coming back to pick his belongings up from the roadside. Only coming back to pack his things and wait on the divorce decree after his enormous betrayal. He should, but he sounds kind of pig-headed and unable to realize the errors of his ways. It's better for her to leave the situation than force him out, which can cause a huge confrontation. Also, I wouldn't trust him not to leave behind recording devices when he leaves. He probably bugged the house. How could she be comfortable? What if she finds a nanny cam or something? It sounds like she was already at the sister's house. He was just trying to look supportive by giving her permission to do what she was already doing. How thoughtful. I went to stay with my sister, who said I was harsh on him and shouldn't have reacted this way. He apologized and said he already deleted it. Even said that I can take a few days to stay with my sister to calm down after he saw how much I was mad. Well, not just that, but making it seem like it's his idea? Triangular flag on post, danger Will Robinson. She can take a few days like he is giving her permission. The way he worded it makes it sound like he thinks she needs his permission to not be at home. It's insane that he thought a grown-ass woman needed permission. I'd give him permission to kiss my butt and then give him permission to accept service of the divorce petition. Plus, if she goes back there, he can keep listening to the tapes. While pregnant. I would not consider it a treat to spend a night in another person's house while in my second trimester. Screw this guy. Suspect if he has to realize it's a violation before coming back, he'd never leave in the first place since it's no big deal. OMG, right? I mean, I'm already firmly no on this guy, but that line there. F no. Up. First he tried to sit in on your sessions, then he tried to barge in, then he eavesdropped and tried to pull more info from you, then he recorded your session. I just want you to clearly see how much work he's putting into this. This wasn't an accident, he just couldn't help. If I were you, I'd tell him he has now signed up for couples counseling, which he will actively attend, and will stay the F away from my personal therapy, and if both those things happen consistently, we will see. And if they don't, I'll be visiting a divorce lawyer. NTA. Your sister is so very wrong. No, never attend therapy with an abuser. And what he did, and his reaction to her anger, are 100% red flags for abuse. Abusers weaponize therapy against their victims. Yes. This situation is effed up. Divorce, and supervised visits with the kid. OMFG. My partner is no shining example of a partner, but he stays away when I'm having a therapy session. Just the barging in a few times with lame excuses was bad enough, but recording her session. No. Way across the line. Run away. Right? It's not that hard to stay away from somebody's therapy. Both me and my husband are in therapy, lot of session have been online in recent months. We also live in a rather small flat. So one has therapy, the other goes to another room, put on headphones and listens to a music really loud. It's not that hard, if you want to. I'm in online therapy for trauma resolution, and my husband has been in the room all of twice, once because he was 2 minutes late leaving for work after lunch and gave me a quick goodbye kiss, and the other was to come wrangle our dogs after they figured out I hadn't closed the door all the way. That's it. He's never once attempted to sit in and listen or, JFC, record my sessions. He doesn't want to. That would be such an invasion of privacy and directly antithetical to healing in the first place. Op is NTA, but your sister has no idea what she's talking about, and your husband is a major butthole. I don't think my marriage would recover from a breach of trust this big. Him spying on her therapy is 1000% wrong and a sign of serious problems, but I don't know that it indicates abuse. He could just be paranoid that she's complaining about him, and the therapist is going to tell her to divorce him or something. Of course, in doing so, he's only increasing the likelihood of that happening. I don't know if I'd ever be able to forgive or trust him after this. Him spying means that he doesn't respect any boundaries. So it's a huge red flag. The guy is abusive, no doubt about it. I know you mean well, but please do not go to couples therapy with this man. His behavior is controlling and abusive, and it is not safe to attend couples therapy with him. If you decide you want to try to salvage the relationship, encourage him to find his own therapist. I apologize for being dumb, but why is it not a good idea to attend therapy with your abuser? I honestly have not heard of that, and I'm curious. Couples counseling sends the message to both the batterer. Batterer can be physical, emotional, and/or psychological in nature, and his partner that the problem is mutual and that somehow the partner is responsible, at least in part, for the abuser's behaviors. Web link. Oof, this just punched me in the gut. Pretty much my experience with my butthole ex and my therapist. Abusers also use the tools and language of therapy/healthy communication to further gaslight and manipulate their victims and turn the tables in any discussion. Going to therapy with them is just giving them more ammo. In addition to what others said, abusers are often charismatic. They have to lure a victim in by appearing to have good qualities that outweigh the bad. Plus, being charming to the people around the victim makes it harder for the victim to find support. If the people you rely on all love the abuser, they might not believe you if you confide in them. They might even blame you for choosing to leave someone who seems wonderful to them. Therapists aren't immune to this. If the abuser can win the therapist over, the therapist becomes more likely to trust the abuser's side of the story. This means that the victim is now hearing from an unbiased professional that the abuser's actions are justified. It makes gaslighting the victim easier and ends up becoming just another way for the abuser to assert control. OMG, yes. I had a batcrap therapist who forced me to allow my parents to attend therapy with me. After one session of my dad playing his usual game, wherein he acts like a reasonable man to the therapist, won her over by explaining the situation in a very non-aggressive passive way, and then I had to sit for an hour about how I could try to meet them halfway. I felt isolated, ganged up on, and unheard. It made everything worse. And that was after just one session with everyone present. I refused to go after that. Never go with an abuser to therapy. You don't need to work on things. You need to get away from them. My therapist has said this about an abusive person in my life. Said him going to therapy could be even worse for me because he can make himself look innocent or even like the victim and use any help they guide him against me. Good way for them to learn better ways to hide and manipulate, and also how can you be honest in therapy when you know you're going to get punished for it when you get home. As others have said, it's dangerous because the abuser can learn things about the person being abused that they can then turn against them. I tell him he has now signed up for couples counseling, which he will actively attend. No. He needs to go to his own counseling. It is not recommended to go to counseling with your abuser, and this dude had controlling abuser written all over him. Not just that, he effectively told her to leave until she calms down because he's telling her to go somewhere else. I know, right? This isn't just a butthole move. It's an abuse move. He's saying he can't help committing profound violations of Op's trust. Run, Op. This is bad. His reaction is almost like gaslighting, or is it? Gaslighting, I know, is when someone does something crafty, and then makes you think that it never happened. Or does it include the crafty person minimizing their crafty behavior as well? Either way, the fact that the husband tried to manipulate the wife and be sneaky and then try to make as if his behavior wasn't that bad. He's a effing snake, and I wouldn't be able to trust him. No matter what original poster does, the husband will always try to find ways to violate her boundaries. He tried with barging in, then with making as if he was doing her a favor by bringing her coffee she didn't ask for, then he learned to just secretly record her. He'll just keep learning of new ways to be sneaky or of hiding his sneaky behavior, and that's the reason I wouldn't be able to trust him. Why does he do this? Purely for the reason of not wanting to be in the dark anymore with what his wife is going through with her grief? Perhaps. It's more likely that he doesn't respect her and thinks he can control her, that he's jealous of the therapist for some reason, or that his self-esteem is so effing low he thinks she's talking about him to her therapist. A normal spouse would support her in her efforts to be in therapy, or even offer couples counseling if they both can't communicate in a healthy way to each other, not violate her trust like this. Gaslighting is a pattern of behavior to make someone question their own perception of reality. In this case, Op's husband is trying to downplay the significance of what he did, which wouldn't qualify as gaslighting. Gaslighting in this situation would be the husband denying the recording entirely, and attempting to convince original poster that it was all in their own head. This is an entire troop of North Korean children doing the dance of the red flags in double time. It should also be noted that a therapist is a qualified mental health professional, and in order for therapy sessions to be safe and effective, they need to cultivate a certain environment that facilitates communication about extremely intimate and personal details, which requires confidentiality. Op's husband did the mental health equivalent of barging into an operating room while their spouse is undergoing surgery, because he's worried and wants to help. Unless he's a professional in this field, he's not only unqualified to assist, his actions are disruptive and contaminates the environment in which an important procedure is taking place. NTA. Has he always been this controlling? Because maybe you should stop overlooking it. No. Not always. In fact, he has been very supportive after my mother's passing. But I just can't accept that he did this. I'm even shocked because he's not normally like this. I understand he wants to help since I haven't been talking to him much these days, but I already told him I needed privacy. He has been very supportive after my mother's passing. As long as it was his shoulder you were leaning on, right? Please understand that this can also be a control tool. Of course he will be supportive when he is the only one you can turn to, but look at how he acted when you had someone else available to you. His concern wasn't for your getting better, it was him not being central. My ex would intentionally make me miserable so that I would come to him for support. Please be aware of this, and stay safe. It's called trauma bonding. Hey, mine did this too. Twinsies. Well, people have been known to make mistakes now and then. But the fact that he's defending it, hasn't apologized, and says you are overreacting makes it even worse. He has no right to do this, period. Actually, coming back from this requires an unconditional apology, with no attempt at gaslighting you or justifying his behavior. Just a complete, flat apology and acknowledgement that his actions caused damage. This is a very important thing to me, and he kept saying I'm sorry, but I just couldn't help it. I would have decked him for saying this. What are you, 3 years old? You couldn't help yourself? At no point while you were secretly setting up your recording it didn't occur to you even once how insane it is. F that guy. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to be the first to know about Red Rabbit Reader's new videos. If you like our videos, please like them on YouTube and share them with your friends. We welcome your comments below. Press to start another of our videos.